so I am putting this out there for you, and we're going to record the introduction so that if your parents need to see it, they can look at the video. I went to a training last week on blended learning to see what we needed to do differently. So over the course of the next couple of weeks, we're going to do things a lot differently, okay? First of all, if you'll look on the wall, those are data charts, similar to kind of what's in your progress folder, but not exactly. This first data chart is MAPS data. So if we get done in time today, you're each going to get to color in your column for your MAPS score. To start, it will be number coded. So you're going to pick a number, and if it's already taken, you're going to pick a different one, but you'll have to remember your number, because on Friday, the stickers should be in and you get to choose an avatar to be for the year, and we'll change that number to your avatar, okay? We'll also put your projected growth goal so that you know all year long what it is that you are aiming for. Make sense? We're also going to do that for Imagine Math. So those of you sitting at the horseshoe table already have that chart right in front of you. And we're going to do the same thing with that. So those are all reports that you've already received and are in your progress folders. As far as this goes, this is what I just handed out to you. It's called a playlist. This is so that you can individualize your learning, and so can I. So if you'll look at the playlist, up here is my email. You can actually email me easier if you go into Canvas and use the inbox, okay? You can actually message any of your teachers through there. Then you don't have to go out to your Gmail to do anything. You could do it right from Canvas, and you'll get your messages back in Canvas, okay? My tutorial times are Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 8, 3:30 to 4, and any day at PE. I have not made them mandatory yet, but based on our first 9 weeks and trying to get some of you caught up, they will probably become mandatory starting next week, okay? If you've got stuff that you're really struggling with, per the administration, we're probably gonna have to go ahead and make those mandatory. Mandatory means you gotta be here, okay? The box underneath that is the Remind codes. There's several parents in 5th grade that still have not signed up for Remind. This is where all my announcements go out that are important to your parents. So definitely show those to them and see if they can get put out on Remind, or get added to a Remind. The daily tasks, this is the must do every day, whether you're in school or out of school. If you're able, you need to log in through Clever and complete at least one lesson in Imagine Math, okay? At the end of the lesson, you get those little medals, right? And it tells you how many points you received. You're gonna write those points on that day's line and then record it. If you're not here, you'll record it when you get back in your progress folder, okay? You're gonna get a sheet of paper that says Imagine Math, and you're gonna be able to record your points on that. Again, just incentive to learn and grow in your math, okay? Your weekly tasks are listed below. This week, you have one that we probably won't get to, but the first one is Khan Academy assignments. This means that you need to log into Khan Academy and look at those assignments and do a video and a practice a minimum of 3 times a week, okay? Because every concept that I have loaded into Khan Academy is concepts that we've already covered and we can always spiral back to, okay? And the more we see it, the more proficient we become in that objective. Questions on that? So everybody understands it's not just watching a video. You need to complete the practice that goes with it, okay? If you come across one that has a video, but there's no practice after it, there's probably a video part 2, and then the practice will come. Okay, does that make sense? But you need to complete at least 3 a week. So right here, I've left you a box for where it says date completed. You'll write the date in that you're doing an assignment and your score. So you're obviously not going to sit down and have time to do 3 in one day. Okay, but you would write the date you did it and the score, the date you did it and your score. I should see 3 when you turn your playlist in at the end of the week. Understand? Your math journal, it says complete the math journal activity from Imagine Math or the one provided by Mrs. Hodges. There's not always going to be a math journal, but at least once a week, I'm going to have a new objective to introduce to you. So there will be a journal station. Okay. And if they're more complicated, we'll do them as a whole class. If they're pretty simple and I feel like you can get it on your own, then you'll do it individually at a station. Okay. Eventually you're going to get playlists with your name on them in a color. That color is your color for the week. So you're going to look for that basket when you go to work in a station. So if I've written your name in red, you're going to look for the red basket every time you get to a new station. Okay. If I've written your name in blue, you're going to look for that blue basket. And if I've written your name in green, you're going to look for that green basket. Okay. As I find more baskets and colors, then we'll add colors to it. The goal of that is one person in that group chooses the station they're going to go to for that day, and you guys all go to it. Now, they're not all group stations, right? They're not all going to be group stations. So if you have that opportunity to go to a math station with a group, then you would go together and you'd look for that colored basket. Make sense? Okay, the next thing says math facts. So for math facts, you're going to have a station that you go to, and you're either working with a partner, so 2 people, on flashcards, or if there's a basket there that day, there's something for you to work on. Hopefully we can get independent enough that you can time each other and you can do math tests, okay? Because the faster we can get on the draw for learning our math facts, the easier everything going forward becomes, okay? So you're not having to look at a chart and find your multiplication facts. You've got them memorized. Make sense? The next one is vocabulary. So we're going to set up your journals a little differently than what we've been doing. We've just kind of been adding as we go. We're going to break it up into 3 sections. So you're going to have a vocabulary section, and you're going to have a Imagine Math section, and then you're going to have the everyday journal activity session. So when you go to the vocabulary station, you're basically just going to take the words that you're given at that station and record them, making sure that you record the title of that unit, okay? If there's a unit that goes on for 2 weeks, we may not see vocabulary but once, right? So we need to make sure we get around to that station before that station goes away. Make sense? On the back of your playlist, is teacher time. There are going to be days where you're going to come to teacher time every day. And then there's going to be weeks where you've got this, you're moving along, and you don't need to come to teacher time. But if I don't see you at least once a week, I'm going to pull you myself. So right now you have the choice, but eventually I'm keeping track if I see you or if I don't see you for the week, and I'll have to pull you in. Got it? The next one says motivation math. This is the TEK for the week. So I'll have a basket filled with the TEKs for the week, and you will work on those. And right next to me, I'll have a self-check. So you can come and you can check your answers. Now, the reason it's right next to me is because the goal is you've worked the problem out before you come and check it. Understand? Because you're not doing this to get a better grade than the next person. You're not doing this to keep from failing the class. You're doing this to master that particular TEK or objective, okay? And finally, the independent work. The independent work is what you're actually going to get a grade in the grade book for. Each week, there's going to be something new. And once you've attended that station, you've got it in your folder to complete for the week. So that will get turned in with your playlist at the end of the week. Now, this playlist will be added. We're going to have some challenges on there for those of you that are mastering your TEKs and you want to move on and you don't want to wait for the rest of the class. We're going to have some group instruction still where you're sitting like you are now, and I'm teaching you something before you break out to your station. So time management is going to be the key for you, okay? Everybody understand that? We have been rotating in 15 to 20-minute blocks, and people aren't getting their stuff done. So now you're going to have a little bit more freedom in when to get it done, but now you're going to have to manage your time a little bit better. Does that make sense? With the independent work and with the partner work and with not having a set station to rotate to and from, you have the yoga mats, you have the lap trays, but they will go away if there becomes an argument over them, okay? So everybody now knows that they're required to hit Imagine Math for at least one lesson, okay? Manage that time wisely. If you don't get it done while you're at school, I recommend you go home and do a lesson. Understand? Because Imagine Math is personalizing your education every single day. Every time you log into Imagine Math, if you continually get a problem wrong, whether it's because you're just doing the click next, which I've caught people doing, or you are seriously do not understand it, guess what? It's going to keep throwing those types of problems at you. The only way you're ever going to progress in Imagine Math is to start mastering what you're doing, okay? Which leads us into your grades. This 9 weeks, we did what we knew as teachers to be the best option for blended learning and catching you guys up from the loss, okay? Going forward, our goal is mastery, okay? We might have 2 things a week that we actually grade, but everything you're doing in class is important to you. It is your practice to master those objectives, okay? And you're going to start tracking your progress. So you're going to, if you'll look in your progress folders, you have that first sheet that we recorded the mastery levels, the happy face, straight face, sad face. You're actually going to start following that each day. And when you have completed your playlist and you've got some can-dos down here, the can-dos are going to be down here on the bottom. When you've got those can-dos, you can go get a TEK practice like task cards or board games to work on that. And then you can say, Ms. Hodges, I'm ready to do a mastery check, okay? That mastery check is you on your own working through 5 to 6 problems, and you're going to put those in on a bubble sheet. And if you've mastered it, meaning you've received 70 and above, if you've mastered it, then you can check that off on your progress sheet, okay? So I've ordered some stickers, but I also want to encourage you to have your red, yellow, green colored pencil, crayon, or highlighter, which there's no such thing as a red highlighter, available so that you can just color it off. Let me tell you how phenomenal this program was that we went to see Wednesday. We saw kindergarten students working independently without asking the teacher 50 questions. For example, one little kindergartner that I sat down and visited with, she had her playlist in front of her, and of course theirs are all little icons, right? Pictures of where they're going, because in kindergarten they don't quite know how to read yet, or they're just learning. And I asked her, I said, what does this mean? And she had a playlist for reading, a playlist for math, and a playlist for science. and I was in on her math class. So I said, what does this mean? And she could tell me every single thing that was on her playlist and what she should do with it. She could tell me why her name was in the color green, which was because she was working with this set number of people and they were sitting at tables that were colored the same way. So if their name was in green, they knew what table to sit down at, right? She was working at the journal station, kindergarten, all by herself. She knew which color tray to grab from. It was adding numbers, that's it, right? So theirs is mostly in pictures. Well, she had to cut these things out and paste them into the correct answer. And she was doing that by herself. She wrote in her journal the title of her activity based on the sheet that she pulled out of that little tray. And she had it cut, and for example, it was 5 plus 3. So she had this like 6 or 7 boxes with stars with different numbers. And she looked for the stars that were 5 plus 3, and she pasted those to the problem, the equation 5 plus 3. I mean, she was doing this all on her own, okay? The students that were working on their math program online, they knew exactly what they were doing. When you asked them, what are you working on? They could tell you, I'm working on Dreambox. Well, do you know what objective you're working on? Yes, I'm working on adding and subtracting. Do you know why you're working on that? Yes, because on our last test, I struggled with this really badly. So I'm practicing, right? Remember the reports I showed you 2 weeks ago that showed the goals for you to work on in maps, the map skills? Those are skills that you want to build on, right? So those are things that you're going to see in your Khan Academy. Not everybody's going to get those because they don't have the same goal as you do. So when you go into Khan Academy to work your 3 assignments a week, guess what? Those are there. Okay, that's why it's important to watch the video and do the practice, because that takes you up a notch. That takes you up a notch for your mastery practice, right? Some of you are further ahead than the rest of you. Some of you are further behind than the rest of you. So the goal is to individualize this so that you get what you need when you need it, okay? And there's going to be times when you're going to break out of your group and you're going to work independently. You and one other person might be ready for some math facts. So you're going to go sit at a partner table or sit in a partner area and work on those math facts. But the goal is you're not striving to cheat, because you're only cheating yourself when you do that, right? Your goal and what you're striving for is mastery. So the more TEKS you can master ahead of schedule, the more TEKS you can go forward on and keep growing. Does that make sense? The corrections, the missing assignments, all of that hopefully will come to an end, because you now know what your playlist looks like, right? So if you're not here, then you have to do an assignment on Canvas to get caught up, or you need to come back to your playlist and say, well, I didn't do this, I didn't do this, I didn't do this. I need to get this done before Friday. Right? When you come in on Monday, if you missed on Friday, that playlist should be complete and you should be able to put it in the tray. Make sense? So every day you're going to carry your progress folder around and you're going to practice, okay? I have some incentive charts coming so that when you complete a lesson in Imagine Math, instead of having to just write your score, you can write your medals down on the chart with a sticker. And then when you fill up that chart, I'll have a prize for you, okay? But you can also look at, okay, what objectives was I working on to fill up this chart? You're gonna jot those down, okay? Any questions on the playlist? We are going to bobble it here and there for the next couple of weeks while we all get used to it. But the goal here is to individualize your learning, because we've got some kiddos that are bored to tears because they've got this. They had all happy faces in their chart, okay? So they need something more to explore. And then we've got some that are really struggling with even getting 1 or 2 things done. A lot of you must have stayed up late last night because all I see is droopy eyes. Now, there is going to be days where we're not able to move and transition to different stations together. But on the days that we do, I want you to be conscious of respecting one another's space, using your masks, and sanitizing where you go, okay? Because some of it's just going to stay at a station, but some of it, you need a little bit more room, so you can come up here with the yoga mats, or you can go back there with the lap trays. Just don't disturb the group next to you, all right? Also, if you look over here on the couch, there's some yellow bags here. I'm going to get those all numbered. Yours will actually be blue. I'm going to get those numbered, and I'm going to give you a certain number. That is your math toolbox. There are math manipulatives in there like rulers, foam blocks, counters, and those will be on the back shelf over there with your number. But here's the thing. That means you're responsible for one more thing, okay? So you've got to keep up with it, and that way we don't have to sanitize between use because you're going to use that all year long. Make sense? Okay.